Alright, been a while since I've done a little video, so I'm going to do a video today on our little friend Rancilio Silvia. And let me show you guys. This machine's sitting here. I've disconnected most things, but let's go through what to do when changing an element or finding out that your machine does need an element. Let's go through it now. Okay, so this is what the Silvia looks underneath the cover. So with a tester continuity, you can check the element. I'll click this one onto sound so we can actually hear. We can hear when we've got connection. So the element should read somewhere like 30 or 40. So when I touch that and that, nothing happens. When I touch here and here, you can hear it and you can see, you get a reading. But on the element itself, nothing. No reading. So the element's no good. The other way you can check it is, I mean, you could test if you get power here. If you're getting power to the element and the element's not heating up, that's another way you can test it. So now the next thing you want to do, and I've jumped ahead a bit so this video doesn't get too long and too boring, is disconnect everything. So here you can either take these temperature controllers. They just check, one's for steam and one is for brewing temperature. So when you're flicking the switch, you're going between how hot you want the group to get, remembering that this group will only do steam at one time and water for the brew at another time. So it's not, doesn't have a heat exchanger and it doesn't have two boilers. So I've disconnected this guy. I've marked all these and I've taken photos as well, which is always good. I've marked that, disconnected that. Here you got a connection, which is just it's a clamp, and on the other side you got to unscrew this guy. Then you've got Allen keys, Allen head screws. I think there's 6 or 8 of them, 2, 4, 6, all the way around the boiler. And then the whole boiler lifts up with the element intact, like so. So that's inside the boiler. I had to put that in a vise to be able to take that nut off. There's a nut that sits here. So I've taken that off. The element then comes out this way. And before you put it all back together, you're going to make sure that these surfaces are cleaned up. You can clean up inside the boiler at the same time. You need to clean around where the element meets the top of the boiler, and you need to clean around here, and always change the gasket. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well. And you need to clean that mating surface in there as well. That's the bottom of the boiler. So that just sits like that, element inside. Unfortunately, you can't get the element out without taking the boiler off, as you can see. Alright, so let's clean it all up and put it back together. Alright, so we've got a gasket that's got to go over the element. So there's actually a key ways that the element are marked here where it's got to sit, but the element will only go in one way, which is good. So we'll tighten that up as tight as we can and move on to the next step. Okay, now that's nice and tight. So we're going to put the new O-ring that seals up on the head. Now, this is not a car, it's not a head gasket, so I've cleaned that up. That's extremely smooth. Obviously, ideally would be metal to metal, but it's very smooth. So that O-ring sits inside the machine, so we'll put that in first, and I've cleaned that out very well. So that O-ring will sit in there, and you can put a little bit of Vaseline or something if you're scared that's going to come out. I feel like it's sitting really well, so I'm confident that when I put the top on, it won't move. Let's get it back together. Alright, so you can either mark or remember which direction that goes on. Line it up, and then you get all the Allen head screws in. On this side here, just got to remember that's where the earth wires get screwed in, so we're going to do that first. So we've got the two earth wires on. I'll try to get that lined up and screwed in. Okay, what I like to do is to do them all finger tight. Actually, even looser than finger tight, and just go. I'm going to go to the opposite side now here and do these ones. I'll just do that and move on. I like to do these in a crisscross pattern. So first I've done them loosely. Now I'm going to go through a crisscross and just do the final tightening. And then we should be good to put all the accessory parts on, the water lines, the temperature sensors, let's double check them all. I think if you've worked on cars, you shouldn't be scared of working on coffee machines. Not that different. Alright, so put all the parts back together and all the wires in the right spots. Alright. So I marked all these with a texter, just whatever mark I could get on them. seems like this one sits better the other way around, so I'm going to swap that around. Alright, so I've put all the wires back on. I'm purposely going to leave an element wire off because I want to fill the boiler before the element starts heating up. I don't want to risk cracking it or anything like that. So yeah, that's the other thing to remember with this machine is if you let it run out of water, it will potentially blow an element, or if it sits on all day. I think with this machine it doesn't have a water level sensor, and yeah, it's easy to run out of water and then burn out an element. That's probably the biggest mistake with this machine. Alright, let's put all the water connections and water lines back on, and then we're done, almost. Alright, so on this water connection here, you can either use tape or you can use liquid tape. You need to use something on there. And then we've got got a push-on connection here, which is a bit hard to get to. Okay, steam pipes, water pipes are back on. Like I said, I'll leave that element off, and now let's run some water through it and make sure it's all working. Alright, now put some water in it, make sure that's not touching anything. Just plug it in. Alright, so sometimes, let's have a look. Sometimes, is it sucking water? Yeah, that is sucking water. Sometimes starting and stopping is a good way of priming the pump. Alright, now, took a while to get water through, we've got water coming through. So we're going to connect that element up and let it heat up. Okay. The element's definitely heating up. And we don't have any leaks. You want to check for leaks around the element. Nothing there. Check for leaks around these pipes here. I end up using pink tape, pink plumbing tape. You don't bother with the white one, so either liquid one or pink plumbing tape. Yeah, the white one is no good. It's like putting Glad wrap as a condom, just doesn't work. Alright, no leaks, happy days. Now I'm just going to switch it on to steam and let it heat up and check the steam, but I'm pretty sure that's going to work as well. One advice, if you do own one of these machines, is don't leave it on steam. It gets hot and chances are you might pop the safety switch that's on there. So always leave it on normal water unless you're using the steam. So we're going to test the steam now, see how that goes. Alright, till next time, thank you for watching. Ciao.